We are aiming for personal growth and company growth this year. And in order to aim the highest, we have to attract great people, ignite passion, and measure that growth. And then you can fill in the blanks for yourself. What kind of growth are you trying to achieve? And how can the people around you help? Hello and welcome to Young Living's podcast, The Wild Drop. My name is Jacob Young, your host. Young Living is the world leader in producing and distributing premium essential oils. And this podcast will provide you with drops of information about Young Living, including stories, history, product information, lots of little fun facts, and even more. Welcome to our podcast studio, Ben Riley. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm so excited. I've really been on the lowdown trying to find a way to get on the podcast. So really excited to be here. Was a little nervous, to come today, but yeah, appreciate you joining, having me join on the podcast here, and excited for our session today.
Yeah, of course. Well, we had Prasad a few episodes ago, kind of talking about the statistics, the numbers for last year. We went around the world a few times with all the different types of bottles that we sold. Lots of really fun numbers. If you didn't listen to that podcast episode, please go back. Lots of little fun facts and stuff like that. So, but obviously, now that we have numbers, we have to kind of use those numbers towards a strategy, a goal for the year. And so what does that look like, Ben?
Yeah, so first of all, the numbers are impressive because it helps you understand the scale of what we do.
Yeah.
This I say this all the time, but the sun never sets on Young Living at this point. We are 24/7. People are using oils, and we're getting all over the world, which was the goal. This is what we exist to do, is get oils in homes, and seeing them in more homes is super exciting. Shipping, what was that, like 50 million tons or whatever it was, just crazy amounts of products around the world, shows that we're making progress. And that said, we still have a long way to go. There are a lot of homes we're not in, and if you're like me, we all need Young Living in our houses. So that's what the strategy is about, is we kind of take where we are, understanding what are our strengths, opportunities, weaknesses, and threats for our business, and then focusing in on concrete plans that we feel like are going to further our mission and help us get further there. And the thing about opportunity at Young Living is it's not a matter of not having opportunity, it's having too much opportunity.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that, there's a really famous strategist named Michael Porter, and he says, strategy is not just about what you do, it's about what you don't do. Yeah. It's as much about what you say no to as it is about what you say yes to. And that's hard because there are tons of opportunities. We could do all kinds of things. We have to say no to good so that we can really focus on great.
Yeah.
And that's what the strategy is all about, is what are the great things that we can do to ensure that we're supporting brand partners in their businesses and that we as a company are able to be successful.
I think the hardest part about running a business in general is listening to, obviously we have so many wonderfully talented people in our Young Living family, and everyone always has a good idea, but it's singling out the great ideas in those hundreds of thousands of good ideas that are really going to take us to the next place, the next step. And just like you said, it's saying no to the good ideas, but putting all the cards out on the table for that great idea to take us into the next step. And it's hard to do that. It really is hard to do that.
It is one of the hardest things, I would say, because I get good ideas every day from brand partners who have really good ideas. So I think what makes something a great idea is when there's enough momentum behind it, where enough people who are stakeholders in the company all see the value. When it's pervasive enough and achievable, that takes it from good to great.
Yes.
So something that might be good for one person is good for that person, but it becomes great when it's good for that person and many other people, because we are here to serve a large community. When you talk about those numbers, you realize we're talking millions of people.
Yes.
And so that means that one person's idea can't trump millions of people and their needs. And being able to figure out what are the things, and to be honest, a handful of things, not too many things. What are a handful of things that are really going to make a difference in a brand partner's business and ultimately getting oils into homes, which is why we exist?
You couldn't have said it any better. The way that I think about it is, kind of along the lines of a good idea and a great idea is the purpose. Does it have a great purpose, or does it have a decent, good purpose to it, right? Because we're very purpose-driven with everything that we do, all the products that we come out with, everything. And so how big of a purpose does that idea serve? If it's a huge, great purpose to all of our community, that's why we like to push it that way.
And that's what our business is about, is identifying how do we put together all of our parts to create competitive advantages? And some of those things, like there are competitive advantages that are unique to us, like our farms.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody else has those farms. Now, there are other producers of essential oils. We're not the only ones in the world, but we're the most vertically integrated. That means that's a big opportunity for us.
Yeah.
And when we connect farms with brand partners and their own experience and the products that go into a bottle, there are myriad facets where you create a strategy around something like that, and that gives you a competitive advantage. That's where you start to win.
Yeah. I would say our competitive advantages are community, purpose-driven products, and our farms, like you said. I really feel like those are our biggest advantages when it comes into our whole industry, and something that I don't think anybody else really has when it comes to community farms and purpose-driven products as well.
That's a great way to say it. And it's the connection of those three things.
Yes.
Right? There are farms out there. I grew up on a farm, but my family farm does not create the community. The Young Living does, and the products. And so when you integrate those things, those connections, it's each of those elements that create something that's a special competitive advantage, for lack of a better way to say it. But it's unique to us. It's why we're special.
For sure. So with everything being discussed and shared and having to go through all the different stats and data and everything that we did for last year, what are we doing this year that's different than last year to improve everything as a whole? I mean, obviously, even though last year or the year before might have been a good year, what can we do to make this year even better? We're always striving for the best, for quality of life improvements and changes for all of you out there, looking for products that no one else has, or developing products, I should say, that no one else have. And how do we go about doing that? What's that route look like?
So that's the $64,000 question, right? Is how do we take what we? That's an old game show. I don't know if you know.
Oh, I was like, did we spend $64,000 in like marketing?
No, it's an old game show. Like the $64,000 question is the big question, the hard question.
Jeopardy, right?
Yeah, it's a very old school reference for old people like me. But yeah, so that's the point, right? Is I feel like we have to, as a company, be committed to getting a little bit better every day. When we make continual progress, that's how good becomes great.
Yes.
And we're committed to being a great organization. And you have to have a clear strategy to do that, especially with the size. We talked already about the size of our business. We're talking about thousands of employees and millions of brand partners and customers. It's a large community. And so you have to have at least the direction you're marching in together to be able to do great things. That's where you create synergies rather than having everybody go in different directions. That's the big opportunity with a strategy. So we first started by gathering as much feedback as we could. Like I talked before, a great idea is when it benefits lots of people, not just one person. And so we had to understand what would benefit lots of people. We did a lot of surveys. We had over almost 20,000 survey responses from employees, from brand partners, from customers.
Yeah.
So lots and lots of feedback through a broad survey regarding strategy and opportunity. Where do you see opportunity in your business? What are your needs to be successful for brand partners, customers especially? And the largest population, of course, were brand partners. So they had a really loud voice in shaping this strategy. We also did SWOT analyses across our business. So we had 72 different business units, and that's different departments and also countries that put together. A SWOT stands for strengths, is the S, weaknesses, W, opportunities, O, threats, or T. So that's what a SWOT analysis are. And you go through and you say, what are we good at? What are we not good at? What are things that we could do really well? What are the opportunities where we can win in the marketplace? And what are things that are going to disrupt us or get in the way of our aspirations as a business? So we did a lot of that work as well. And then, we went off site to Tabiona and kind of wrestled with all that data and kind of said, okay, here are some of the great themes that are coming out of this. This is what gets us really excited based upon what everyone's saying. We took those things, discussed it with your mom, and said, this is where we think we should go. She helped us guide a strategic statement. And a strategic statement is really just meant to encapsulate, to say, this is what our aspirations are for 2023.
It's your catchphrase, essentially.
The catchphrase, exactly. Yeah. And then you distill that down into what's the work that goes into it. And what's really intimidating about a strategy for our business of our size is everybody has to play a role, play a part.
Yeah.
And so this idea, you cascade it down in something that is like a priority that we say, for instance, enrollment this year is a big priority. When you break that down into tasks, it goes from 1 to thousands with all the different people who have touch points and responsibilities to help create a great enrollment experience for brand partners around the world, which is one of the first things. So anyway, so I'm kind of digressing now, but I feel like that's kind of everything that went into kind of taking this data and this information and the feedback we're getting and then building it into a forward-looking action plan as a company to say, okay, how are we going to go and take advantage of this opportunity and get better every single day working in the same direction so that our work really matters?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. And one thing that is also, I would say, pretty difficult about a business our size is because of who we are and because we're not a, publicly traded company, right? Everyone's feedback matters to us. It really does. A lot of people, one thing that I kind of want to point out is on the website, on the right-hand side of the website, there's a little black feedback box, and you can click on that. It doesn't matter what feedback you have. You can submit it. And some people say, oh, well, I doubt they read it. No, we get hundreds of thousands of submissions for feedback every single day, and we have a team that goes through it. So the people that actually were part of the strategy for this year submitted their feedback through that portal, and it got included into the overall feedback for everything. So just a little fun fact for you, if you have anything, and I mean anything, put it in that little feedback portal. We do check it. But what I was getting to is, Young Living is this giant bus, and usually a bus has 6 wheels. Well, our bus has like hundreds of different wheels because there's so many moving pieces, there's so many people involved. Everyone's involved, everyone plays a role and plays a part. So the fact that we can put a message together that everyone can align with, right, be ignited with, and just push it out there makes us move that much quicker down the road.
That's right. Yeah. So, and this is what I find with Young Living is we're a powerful force when we're focused.
Yeah.
And I sometimes give this analogy of if you're trying to go to battle with a weapon, you want to take something that's sharp and focused, right? Like a spear.
Yeah.
I think of it in these terms. So a spear is when you get the entire organization focused and moving in the same direction. Mm-hmm. That's powerful. It's penetrating. It's a weapon. And what too often happens with organizations like ours, and this is true of so many organizations around the world, is instead of creating a spear, you create a fan.
Yeah.
Because everyone has these different priorities. And so instead of having a focus where it actually is penetrating and powerful, it's diffused. And everybody's kind of chasing their own direction. And that can easily happen for a business of our size, especially with all of the stakeholders like you talked about.
Yeah.
So getting really focused in on this is where we're going, let's link arms, let's march there together. We move mountains. We literally can make a difference in the world. You can see it with essential oils today with where it is.
Yes.
That was a focused effort that started with your father and your mother and has since expanded to millions of people. That's an incredible movement, and that's incredible focus. We need to stay focused on the things that matter, and that's what the strategy is ultimately all about.
I think it's fantastic, that analogy of the spear rather than a fan. When I thought fan, I thought of the really cool fans that the samurais would use with the blades on the end, but I was like, that still disperses it. But yeah, a spear is like the ultimate weapon and the perfect analogy. And when we did the offsite meeting, and I've stated this in the past, I feel like everyone kind of like had their own focus in a sense, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But for our size, everyone needs to be aligned on a specific goal, a specific vision and mind so we can push through it through the year, right? And when you focus on one thing, it's a lot easier to complete it. And you can also do it faster sometimes and then move on to the next one rather than trying to divide and conquer and do 50 different things at once. And how's the best thing about that offsite meeting that we had was everyone knew already what we needed to be aligned on, what our strengths were. Everyone knew what our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats were. And we all just jumped on and we're like, okay, we know what to do and let's go and let's do it. And I love that. I feel like the first day was going to like a debate tournament back in high school and stuff, but by the second day, everyone was like, no, we understand. We're all here. Let's lock arms and go. And it's been fantastic. And you're right. We have moved some mountains in just the last little bit. It's been great. The energy is super high after the New Year kickoff. I'm always excited for the year, for everything that's to come, everything. I don't know. It's just a good time. It's a great time.
Yeah, I love the beginning of the year because it's new and it's kind of a new opportunity. And I know some people will talk about New Year's resolutions. They don't do them or whatever. I love it. I love the chance to kind of take a step back in my life.
Yeah.
And this is true for our business too, and say, okay, what's going well? What can be better? And what am I going to do differently this year to make sure that I am intentional about my year, about what this looks like and what I accomplish in this year? That's exactly what we're doing as a business as well, to say, let's take a little step back and say, okay, what are we doing well? Where do we need to be better? Where can we make a big difference? Because the thing that keeps me awake at night is I know they're brand partners who need us. They need us to show up really well as a corporate team as their partner.
Yeah.
And if we're not doing that well, that pains me because I know that this partnership works best when we each show up and do our very best, when we bring our best selves to it. And that's ultimately why we created this strategy for 2023, so that we can feel confident that A, we're showing up as best as we can, and B, it's going to be in the areas that matter to our brand partners because we use the feedback to create it.
I love that it's almost a perfect like 50-50 partnership, right? Is we have to do what we do best on our end, and the field needs to do what they do best on their end. And then we have to meet in the middle and say, okay, what do you need? We listen, and vice versa. And we just go out and divide and conquer. And it's a beautiful symbiotic relationship. And I love it.
It is. And it's the power of our business, because when you can give a brand partner an opportunity to focus on changing someone's life by just sharing that, and don't have to worry about how am I going to warehouse and who am I going to pay to do the back end work.
Yeah.
The financials, the legal, the compliance, all of that stuff, it's taken care of.
Yeah.
So you can just focus on the value creation. And when we do that well, we are really amazing.
Yeah. There's both, we do the hard and easy stuff on our side, and you guys out there also do the easy and hard stuff as well. It's funny to kind of see the different sides of the wall, right? The different sides. So, well, with everything that we've talked about and shared, what is our strategy for 2023, and what can we do to make this strategy the best strategy yet?
Yes, the big reveal. Well, some of you probably heard this at New Year's kickoff, or you may have heard us talk about it in Win the Week, but I'll just read the statement really quickly, and then I'm going to break it down in a few disparate parts, and we can talk through some of those in turn. So
great. Our
strategy statement is, as the world leader in essential oils, we aim to reach X number of homes in 2023.
And you're probably wondering what that X is.
X number of homes. Yeah, what is that X number?
Well, for me, and I would also like to think that you guys assume this is what the X means as well, is when it comes to a goal, we talked about this being a 50-50 partnership, right? So here in the business, in GHQ, right, and for all of our employees around the world, we know what that goal is for us. But we want to give you the challenge of setting a goal for yourself to share that many more products, or just Young Living in general, to however many homes you might think you can do, right? And don't be too shy. Set a good goal right there, right? And if you need to set a baby step goal, go ahead and do it. There's nothing wrong with baby steps. What about Bob? I love that. So
baby stepping my way to millions and millions of homes, for sure.
Exactly.
And that's been the way we've done it as a company. Yeah, so we've got our own number. We're going to track ourselves against it to determine how well we're doing. But corporate goals are corporate.
Yeah.
I think everyone needs to have their goal. And I think our goal is to get into more homes. And there are a couple of elements to this statement that I think are important, especially as we were talking to your mom, Mary, about this statement and how we were going to use it. So the first bit is, she felt it really important that we unequivocally state ourselves as the leader in essential oils.
Well, we are.
We are the world leader in essential oils, and we have to hold that position and earn that position every day.
Yes.
We don't take it for granted, but we also know that we created this space. This is our high ground, and we're not giving it up. So that means we're going to show up every day and assert our position as the world leader in essential oils. So it was really important that we stated that unequivocally.
Just because we've made it doesn't mean we can stop.
That's right.
We work just as hard every single day as he did, and push us even further than we were before, and the day before too. And that's why I think my dad just absolutely created this essential oil movement, is because he didn't stop. He didn't just get to a place and called it good. He kept going. And that's what we're doing as well. We're going to keep going, and we're never going to stop. We're always going to be the best.
And I think having this long range view of knowing that we're the world leader in essential oils, it enables us to make good decisions for today, but also for tomorrow.
Yes.
And years to come. And what you and Joseph represent here is the next generation, the future. And when you look at brand partners today, they're multi-generation families now.
Yeah.
They're second and even third generation families that are oilers and building businesses. So we have to take a very long range view. And that's always been, certainly I appreciate this about your mom, because she's always focused on the long game.
Yeah.
The big picture. Not necessarily, today, but tomorrow, and even more so 20 years from now, thinking about how we're setting this company up for success. And so anyway, I feel like that being the world leader and asserting that position is really important. That was something that was really important in our discussion. And then we say we aim, and AIM is actually an acronym. And it's an acronym because we wanted to fit in a lot of big ideas into a small statement. So AIM stands for Attract, Ignite, and Measure.
I love it.
So each of those things, and we'll talk about it. You've been mentioning Ignite, so that fits in really nicely.
Yeah.
And we wanted to focus, one last thing I'll mention is focus on oils in homes, because that's our vision as a company, is to get an oil in every home.
Yeah.
And the way we measure our success are the families whose lives we touch. Now, most companies like ours would give you a dollar figure. It'd be a revenue target. Mm-hmm. And of course, that's important because you have to have strong financials as a company to be healthy.
Yes.
But that's not the point for us. The point for us is, how do we get more oils in homes, and how do we benefit and bless more families because of the work that we do? And that's why we're talking homes, not dollars or anything else. It's core of who we are. So that's the statement. As the world leader in essential oils, we aim to reach X number of homes in 2023. And like you so well said, we need all of our brand partners' help.
Yeah.
So if you can bring in 10 families this year, 50 families this year, I know some of you will do hundreds of families this year, every one of us plays a part. When we go out and share and we get it into one more home, that's one more home that's being blessed by these products and the community and the abundance, all the things that come with Young Living, but also it helps us towards that goal that we're working towards as a global company.
I love it. And everything that you have shared has just been fantastic. And once again, and I'll say this a million times over, you'll hear me say this so many times about this podcast, what sets us apart is the purpose. And that is what drives us here, not the profit. You know, it's never been about the profit. It's always been about changing lives for us. Mm-hmm. And so for me, you know, I'll start off. The way that I'm going to attract people is obviously with Simplified. I'm a little bit biased on that. Spring set coming soon. You'll see that coming very, very soon. March 1st is our launch date, so be ready for that.
Very exciting.
I'm also going to do Zing. I love Zing. I feel like it's a great way to invite my buddies on who love energy drinks. And another one has been Einkorn Crunch. I've been loving Einkorn Crunch. Been getting all my buddies on it as well. So that's my attract. That's my A, okay? My ignite is to get them consistent with it, to have them stay on a consistent schedule of swapping their energy drink out for a Zing instead, right? Instead of, I need this. Instead, running back inside the house before their trip and grabbing a Zing really quick. And while they're playing video games or whatever, snacking on Einkorn and diffusing Simplified. That's my ignite, is getting them to be consistent with that, to take the healthier lifestyle, the healthier alternative, right? And then measure. I'm going to set a goal. For me, I'll do 50. I'll see if I can get 50 more of my buddies to hop on the YL, right? The YL bandwagon, the Zing bandwagon, Simplified, whatever it may be. And that's how I'll measure, right? So you got your attract, your ignite, and your measure. So that's how I'm going to do it. I think you should do the exact same thing. Grab a notepad or a phone or whatever, put AIM, and just kind of write out your goal next to it. And that can be part of your New Year's resolution. And like Ben said, this is such a hand-in-hand type thing, right? We've set our goal. We need you to set yours hand-in-hand. We will absolutely dominate the year.
Yes, absolutely. And we're going to do things to make it easier too. So for instance, with attracting like-minded people, some of what we're doing is making it easier to join. We talked about this already. So around the world, we're looking at our enrollment process and making it as easy as possible to say yes to Young Living and say yes to getting started with getting oils in your home and hopefully eventually sharing those oils.
Yes.
So there's a lot of work that we're doing on that front regarding attracting like-minded people. And you can do the same. I say this all the time, but if you're a brand partner, people buy your energy before they buy a lavender.
Yes.
They buy you. They buy what are you bringing to them. And if they look at somebody they want to spend more time with, that they are engaged by, that's somebody they're going to say yes to. And so bring that energy to people and attract those like-minded people. When I look at our community, and you mentioned this, Jacob, as one of our competitive advantages, our community has been built by people attracting like-minded people to this community.
Positive
and great people because Gary and Mary are great people. And the Young family are great people, and they brought more great people who brought more great people who brought more great people. And now when I look at our community, I love who we are. I love who I get to meet and spend time with when I walk into a room of Young Living Oilers. Yeah. That's attracting like-minded people. So go find more of those people, because the way we find those people are through our brand partners. The
best way that I see our community is like at that family reunion, you usually have those like one or two relatives or those cousins you love to hang out with, and then the rest of your family like, I don't want to hang out with those guys. You all are like the cool cousins. Like, I'm so ready to go hang out with those people. I'm so ready to see their faces again. That's how I see our community.
Yes.
Just fantastic all the way around.
Riffing on that a little bit, I heard this statement, I'll probably mess it up a little bit, but they say you have two families in this life. The one you're born with and the one you get to choose. And Young Living's a family I get to choose. And I love walking into a room. I was in Korea in December, and it was my first time in Korea with Young Living since we'd been opened. Mm-hmm. And I walked into a room of about 500 people, 99% of whom I'd never met before, and yet I knew I was with friends.
Yeah.
I knew that they shared values that I share. I knew they were part of this Young Living community and I fell in love with those people, like just getting to know each of them and how their journey brought them here and why they love Young Living just like I love Young Living. It's one of the most undersold benefits of this community or of Young Living, period. So we don't talk enough about the relationships and the friendships and the meaningful family that you get, that you're able to choose by being a part of the business. So anyway, I'm digressing on that point, but attracting good people to your business is the key to success. I say this all the time. The company with the best people wins.
Yeah.
And so that means you need to attract great people to your business and engage them and get them, like you said, ignite them.
Yeah.
Next thing is that spark. So how do you fire that passion?
Yeah.
Because there's something that happens for anyone who's been successful with our business. It started with that spark.
Yeah.
And the thing I like about Ignite is it's you have all the tools, and when you look outside these walls and you look at the world and all the amazing people in the world, sometimes people just need a spark.
I agree.
They got everything they need. There's greatness inside all of us. It's just, have we been able to fire that passion and really ignite that journey? I mean, that's our convention theme this year, is how do you ignite that journey in others so that they can begin to experience some of the great things that others have through our business?
Sometimes they just need a little gasoline on the fire.
That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah, throw a little bit of kerosene on there.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Awesome.
One thing that I was thinking is we talk about AIM in a way that, benefits and helps our brand partners. And I know not everybody builds a business inside Young Living, and that's totally fine. So I want to quickly go back to that AIM and just quickly say that, maybe it's not attracting people, maybe it's not igniting people or measuring how many people you signed up or enrolled or added to your Young Living family. Maybe it's attracting you to something that you haven't done before. My dad always talked about living life on the edge. So attract yourself to something that would set you a little bit out of your comfort zone, ignite yourself to push yourself to want to do that, and then measure it by how well you are able to do whatever that, somewhat uncomfortable thing may be. Maybe it's skydiving, right? Set a goal for yourself of how many jumps you can do or something like that. And even if you don't hit it, that's okay. You at least did it, right? Like for me personally, one of my New Year's resolutions last year that I wasn't able to hit, but that was okay, was to get up to 140 pounds of body weight and be under like 10% body fat, right? I want to add some muscle to me because I've always been a very small person. And I was able to get up to 136 last year. So I was pretty close. And I'm at 136.8 right now. So I'm getting there. I eventually will hit my number. So, don't be afraid to set baby steps for you. So right now, my baby step is 140 by August. So. All
right. Well, and I've seen, Jacob kind of keeps me posted, and you've been very diligent and accountable.
Yeah.
And you can see the progress as a result. But that's something that I definitely, like you said, your dad's one of his favorite sayings, and I heard this from him many, many times, is if you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much space, right? And he lived his life that way.
Every day.
Every day he was challenging himself because he did not want to get comfortable. And I think the reason he did that is because he knew that comfort and the comfort zone is an enemy to growth.
Yes.
And to be honest, for most of you listening to this podcast right now, the biggest thing that's probably getting in your way right now is you're having a hard time getting out of your comfort zone.
Yes.
And so if there's anything that you take from this conversation and this strategy and what we're trying to do as a business, it is get out of that comfort zone, stretch yourself, strive. This is one of our most powerful elements of our legacy that's been bequeathed to us by Gary.
Yeah.
Is get out there and challenge yourself. The world is a big place, and you can do great things if you're willing to just get outside of what's uncomfortable. And most people who are not successful in this business, they're not successful because of that comfort zone.
Yeah.
Because they're afraid of opening their mouth and having a conversation with somebody.
They get to where they are, and they like being where they are, and they choose not to go from there. And, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but I almost feel like it just doesn't give you kind of lose purpose, right? You lose that drive, you lose that spark. And I kind of love that you mentioned that one saying, because I have a whiteboard that faces out to the hallway. And same thing, I hope that somebody will read maybe all the sayings that I have on my whiteboard or one of them, and it will kind of help ignite them or, just light that spark that they may have lost or may have not had, or it wasn't a good start to their day or whatever it may be. I just hope it kind of puts a smile on their face and puts them in a better mood when they see those sayings. And one of them is, there's no growth in the comfort zone, and there's no comfort in the growth zone. So take with that and do with it what you will. But for me, I love growing and kind of going out of my comfort zone. And it also it does get scary sometimes. I won't lie, it does get scary sometimes. But at the end, like once you've hit that growth that you've wanted to hit, after all that time, it's an amazing feeling. It's overwhelming. It's joyful. It's great. It's grand. All that good stuff. So, well, this has been fantastic, Ben. I absolutely love our strategy for this year. I love our message. I love that everyone can rally behind it. And like I said, even if you're not building a business inside of Young Living, you can still take this and use that strategy for your own personal growth as well. So I think there's just so many ways that you can use it, so many ways that people can change the world for the better with the strategy as well. So it's fantastic. I love it.
Well, thanks, Jacob. And I just want to highlight that this is very high level. So under each of these AIM pillars, there's a lot of work that's happening. I already mentioned enrollment, the improving the brand partner experience, paying faster. There are a lot of elements to that you're going to see throughout the year. Same goes with our storytelling and seed to seal. We're going to be talking a lot more about that, creating more product advocates.
We got Mark next on the podcast. So.
Oh, he's the best too.
Yeah.
He's so great. We're just making sure that we have the right people in the right places doing the right work and doing it in a way that's aligned to you and to your needs. So I just want all of our brand partners to know that we're thinking about you every single day. We come to this office and we have good, smart people who are hustling every single day because they really care. And I care. We all care about this company. We care about you. We care about this movement and being a part of it. But most importantly, I know that when we win as a company, that you're winning as a family. And that's really important to all of us here. So I appreciate the brand partners, what they do. They're the best part of the business. I say this all the time, but they're the best part of Young Living. And I love the chance that I have to work for this great company with these great people. And thanks for having me on the podcast. I hope I get to come on again. I hope I make the cut.
I'll think about it, yeah. But I'd love to have you back too. And once again, you just make such a great point that our purpose, our drive is all of you out there, right? And once again, like, it's not for us, like, our win, the way that we see our wins is when you guys win. That is the best part for us. That's what drives us. That's what wakes us up in the morning, keeps us energized, right? So thank you for everything that you do, Ben. And thank all of you for listening to this podcast and everything that you do. We love you all. We love Ben. We'll maybe have you on the podcast again.
Yes.
So
you heard it here. Don't edit that out.
Well, Ben, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Jacob.
And thank you for tuning into this episode of The Wild Drop. Remember, you can listen on iTunes, Spotify, on YouTube, and of course, our website at www.youngliving.com. Don't forget to oil up Young Living family. This is Jacob Young, dropping out. Take care.